Does that frustrate you that players who have gone away on international duty and have played this extra game for Wales and now come back injured?
It is what it is, you know. I think we all knew before it started that it was 4 games. It does make it hard for us, there's no doubt about that, and for the other regions, because obviously, you know, we go straight into Europe then with those guys coming back with just a week's prep. But like I say, it is what it is. We knew that was the situation before. The intensity of international rugby means boys are going to pick up bumps, and they have done. And we've got players who've played well for us while those guys have been away. So, you know, those guys maybe get another opportunity now to see if they can put themselves against some of the best guys in Europe.
A lot of players playing a Heineken Cup game immediately after a series of international matches. Is it too much rugby?
No, it's just a different challenge. I think, like I say, I'm not gonna hide away from the fact it's difficult to deal with, to manage 4 internationals and then straight into Europe. Usually that week in between would give us the ability to integrate players a little bit easier. They would have therefore had a little bit more prep time going into this big European game. So it's difficult to manage, but at the same time, like I say, it is what it is. We all accept that. We all knew about it, and we get on with it and work hard to get results despite it.
If I may ask you about Rhys Priestland and some of the criticism that maybe Rhys has had to face for his performances for Wales. Has that affected his confidence? Do you feel that there has been an issue about Rhys's confidence from what you've seen in the recent few weeks?
No, I mean, like any player, if perhaps a certain area of your game may be slightly affected by confidence, but no, Rhys is a good professional in my opinion. From the little I've worked with him, he's a very talented player in a position that attracts a lot of pressure, let's put it that way. I think playing 10 for any region, playing 10 for Wales in particular, it's a huge pressure position. He knows that and he accepts that, and when things aren't maybe going quite so well, he then comes under a little bit of criticism, but he's broad enough shoulders, Rhys, to be able to deal with that. And like I say, he's a good player, a good pro, and I know with Rhys, you know, class is permanent, as they say, and that for me rings a bell with Rhys. He's an extremely good player, and he'll play more good games than bad games, in my opinion. And like any player, if he's not quite on top of his game at the moment, he will be, and I'm very confident he will.
He's working with a sports psychologist at the moment, is he?
I'm not 100% sure. I'm probably not, as a forwards coach, probably not the man to ask that, to be honest.
At Exeter then, let's talk about the game. I mean, yeah. They've done okay, haven't they, in the last in the English Premiership? Yeah,
you know, credit to Rob Baxter and his coaching staff and group of players over the last 3 or 4 years. Their climb through from Championship to Premiership, from bottom end of Premiership to get into qualifying for Europe is an unbelievable story. And I was fortunate enough, or unfortunate enough, whichever way you look at it, when my time at London Welsh came across Exeter many times in that season that they went up. We played them 4 times, including playoffs, and they've really developed and become an exceptional side that can play both brands of rugby. I think that's probably been the surprise with Exeter recently, from our analysis. They can play that forward-dominated game that they're renowned for, scrum and driving line out and heavy carrying game, but they can also play and have played with quite a bit of width. They've run a lot from deep recently and had some success from doing so. So, we're not under any illusions how good a side Exeter are, and they come here off the back of pretty good form as well.
How do you assess this European campaign now? What are the goals for you, where you are in the position you are at the moment?
Well, I mean, first of all, we knew going into this group just how tough this group was going to be with Claremont, Leinster and obviously Exeter in it. It's a very, very tough group. And the first 2 games, result-wise, maybe haven't gone for us. And obviously that puts us in a position now where we need to win the next 2 games to give ourselves any opportunity of progressing. And, then things will obviously pan out in the other games. Leinster, Claremont, as we've said, it's not completely... or it wouldn't be a strange situation to see a couple of draws in those games. They're 2 very well matched teams, and the points could be shared there. So there's an opportunity for us, and we've just got to take it, as cliche as it sounds, 1 game at a time, or in this situation a double header, 2 games at a time, and then see where we are at the back of these 2 Exeter games.
It's fair to say you're not giving up on the Heineken or the Amlin just yet. Right?
No, not at all. I think it's the pinnacle. It's the competition everyone wants to be in. You after 2 games, if you were to look at it, that you, as you say, given up on Europe, I think you put yourself in a pretty bad place going into these games. We've got a lot to play for. As a minimum, we want to finish as high in this group as we possibly can. As a maximum, the results may be going the way they could, and our results going the way we want them to go. We could still be in a position where something could happen, but we'll have to wait and see after these 2 weekend games now.
Before the internationals, a lot of people spoke about how players were struggling for the regions, but then they put on the red of Wales, and suddenly it all magically becomes okay again. With having Wales struggle, do you sense the players are almost glad to be back at the regions after the 4 weeks they've had?
I'm not sure if glad to be back. I think obviously when you're in that pressure cooker of playing for Wales, when you have huge attention from media and from the general public, I think that puts a lot of pressure on the boys if it's not going so well. Whether coming back out of that pressure situation is a positive mentally for them or not, I couldn't really answer that question. I think that'd be down to the individual. Some of those guys thrive on that environment and thrive on that situation. Obviously it's a slightly lesser pressure situation, but they are coming straight back into Europe, another big set of fixtures for those guys. And as I've said, we've been fortunate that while they've been away, we've had other players playing extremely well and fighting for spots and giving us headaches. Now that these guys come back in, and ultimately they've got to earn the shirt that the other boys have been wearing while they've been away.
One of those players of Scarlets who Preston, Aaron Shingler, obviously wouldn't have surprised you the way you played. No,
I'm a big fan of Aaron's, and I think I wouldn't be. I'm not frightened of saying that while he's been away, we've lacked a little bit of line-out presence that he brings for us. He's extremely quick off the floor at line-out time, and has great skills in the air, and therefore becomes a very difficult guy for the opposition to deal with at line-out time. We've perhaps missed that a little bit while he's been away. I was thrilled for him that he got the opportunities that he got with Wales at the latter end of the autumn internationals. Probably came into those a bit fresher because he had a couple of weeks where he wasn't selected. And from Warren Gatland's comments, I know they were very happy with his performance, and he's definitely one for the future for Wales and obviously for us.
Can you just outline what Matthew Rees brings to your squad club with the experience that he has and everything?
Yeah, he brings, like I said before, his set-piece presence is second to none, in all honesty. His scrum leadership and his scrummaging ability, something that is very effective for us, and he helps them bring on the younger developing players. We've got Samson Lees of this world. Matthew's a big part in keeping Samson performing well as he is at the moment, especially at scrum time. His line-out work is excellent, and he obviously brings leadership, but along with that, you've got Ken Owens, who's of a similar vein, and we're lucky enough then, I believe, to have Emir Phillips and Kirby Myhill, who are in similar positions, and are definitely 2 names for the future. There's no doubt about that. Emir's performances over the last 2 weeks have massively impressed me since coming back from a long-term injury. So we're in that position. We've got a bit of depth, which is nice.
It's your last home game here, told of the year. In terms of sending people off, how much would you like to get a win? It's
huge. There's no doubt about that. These boys love playing in front of this passionate crowd that is here, and the supporters are fantastic. And it's always a disappointing feeling that we feel for the supporters when we haven't perhaps won at home. Last week being an example, we won in Munster the week before, which was an unbelievable win for us, and to do that in front of our travelling supporters was fantastic. To have backed that up with a win at having Ulster here would have been superb, but it wasn't to be, and we have lost the odd game at home that we desperately wanted to win, to keep this support coming and following the Scarlets, which I know they will anyway because they're a very passionate bunch. But yeah, they're a huge part of it, and if we could sign off this year with a win at home, that would be huge for us going into obviously the start of next year.